Looks like we're live. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It is Tuesday. Oh, shoot, I don't have my thing on here. Tuesday, December 11th, 2018, if you're watching this live. And it could be 2039 for all I know if you're watching the replay of this. Anyways, my name is Jesse Brisendine, and thank you for spending a few moments with me today. I'm just going to share this really quickly on a couple of my other pages. And if you'd like to invite some friends and family to join in too, I would love it if you did that. And then we'll get started. So while I do this, say hello. Let me know where you're logging in from and what is your favorite Christmas movie? Say hello where you're logging from and what's your favorite Christmas movie. Hey, Paul, good to see you on here. Sharing a group. And I just got a couple quick shares to do. So say hello where you're logging in from and what is your favorite Christmas movie while I just invite a few others to come and play with us. Then we'll be ready to rock and roll. Give me about 16 or 17 seconds. And I know I'm logging on a little bit earlier today. I have a Christmas party I need to go to, and I have to be there, start heading down there in an hour, which means I need time to beautify and all those types of things. I think that's pretty much it. Hey, Jamie, good to see you on here. From Peoria, Arizona. National Lampoons. National Lampoons is a Christmas movie, huh? Okay, I think we are all ready to rock and roll. Let's make sure this is working over here. Oh, damn it. Well, it'll load up. Thanks everybody for being here. If you want to interact at all during this, you can invite friends to watch parties. You can comment throughout. You can push the emoji button. All those things just help other people find out more about it. I really encourage you to take notes. I'll have a few moments at the end of this before I have to jump off to answer questions. So please, please, please take notes and be prepared with questions, especially with a topic like this. It may bring up some debates, which is awesome and totally welcome. And I think for the rest of the week, we'll be logging in. We might be a little bit earlier. I'm going to aim for about that 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific time the rest of this week. It's kind of that time of year. And then I might even the following week do these a little bit earlier in the day just to, one, test some things out, give another audience the opportunity to log in. You can make sure you stay up to date with these by hitting subscribe on here, making sure you're subscribing to the channel, making sure you're subscribing to updates. There's a ton of things to do with this. Let's see. 56 out in Florida. Favorite Christmas movies, Die Hard. Yes, a fellow Die Hard Christmas movie person. Me too. Highlander is Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one for a Christmas movie. The Muppets Christmas movie. Oh, I love the Muppets Christmas movie. That was such a good one. Okay, so Christmas movies aside, if you're logging in and watching the replay, you can definitely post your favorite Christmas movie. I want to dive into this topic about why we choose pain and how to stop it. Now, before I get into this, I want to define what we're going to talk about here with pain specifically. The specific pain we're going to refer to is mental and emotional pain, the type that we're manufacturing in here and here. And with that being said, there's plenty of science that supports that much of our physical pain can sometimes, our mental and emotional pain may be expressed physically. Some of you may have experienced this before where you have something that weighs heavily in here and here, and it manifests itself in some part of your body. There's a persistent pain, a nagging pain, a pain that just won't go away. And then once you deal with and resolve what's going on in here and here, the pain starts to feel better. It maybe even dissipates or disappears altogether. I won't exclude the physical part of it and what this can do, but we're not going to focus on that today. What we're going to focus on specifically is mental and emotional, because much of that is manufactured. Now, another disclaimer through this. This isn't to dismiss painful emotions that we may feel immediately after a traumatic experience, after the loss of a loved one or something like that. There's a natural pain that comes with loss, with trauma, with life-changing circumstances. And so this isn't to that. This is really who I'm really speaking to here is those of us who have had a constant, who seem to have this presence of pain that keeps recirculating back in our life and it won't go away. And you'll know this is you just as I talk about this a little bit more. So if you think it might be you, I encourage you to be open to this. If you aren't sure this is you because you just lost a loved one last week or something like that, this might be something you revisit later on, or you listen to and just keep it in the back of your mind because it may be really helpful for you on your healing journey. So traditional Christmas movies. I love all these Christmas movies. This is awesome. Jamie, I literally have stress hives and a migraine today. Well, this is perfect timing for you. So it sounds like it was quite fortuitous that we crossed paths. And I appreciate you sharing that. And just maybe allow yourself to listen to this from that place and see what comes up for you. So why do we choose pain and how do we stop it? First of all, there's always if I make the suggestion, if we choose pain, right? The immediate pushback is, Jesse, what the hell are you talking about? Why would I choose pain? Why would I choose to have stress and migraines? Why would I choose to have hives and migraines, right, Jamie? Why would I choose to feel this way? Why would I choose to feel sad? Why would I choose to feel depressed? Why would I choose to feel angry? Why would I choose to feel like I'm not enough or not good enough? I don't choose this. It's not me. And the answer is we are choosing it. It just may not be as consciously as we realize. So there's a couple of things that happen here. First of all, why do we choose pain? And then how do we choose it? Why do we choose it is a few reasons. One of the main reasons I see is because we, unbeknownst to us, often unconscious, start to form our identities around pain. Our identity is around the emotions, the mental and emotional pains, the identity of I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable. The belief about the identity around being sad, being depressed, being upset, being angry, being hurt, being untrustworthy. Anything that causes pain and it originates from here and here, oftentimes it becomes an identity builder. And we start to see and interact in the world through that lens, right? So imagine that you see the world as you do, but suddenly you put lenses over you with the color of sadness or anger or whatever that is, or depression or heartbreak. And you start to see the world through those color lenses. I remember the first time I ever had my heart broken. And during that time, any of you have ever had that first initial heartbreak, you know how painful it probably was for you. It certainly was for me. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I was physically ill. I lost like 20 pounds in 3 weeks. I was so sad, so depressed. I was literally at times, I remember one time coming home and being on my knees praying to God that I just wouldn't wake up and I wouldn't have to go through this pain anymore. And what I realized during that time is in those moments where I wasn't sad, because here's something that's really important to clarify with this, is when we start to form our identity around these kinds of emotions or these thoughts or these beliefs, one of the core beliefs that drives it is that we're that way all the time. See, when I say I feel sad, it's acknowledging that I'm feeling an emotion. When it's saying I am sad, it's an identity that I take on. When it's saying I feel depressed versus I am depressed, there's a big distinguishing difference there between feeling an emotion that is depression and putting on the hat of the identity that is depression. Feeling an emotion that is sadness and putting on the identity of a hat that is sadness. See, if I'm sadness, then it almost makes me powerless to do anything. I'm Jesse. I am who I am, and it's hard for me to go and do anything to change it. Now, there's a lot of science and stuff that's evolved where I guess I could get some plastic surgery. I could modify the way I looked and all those types of things. But at the core of who I am, I'm still me. And so if my identity becomes that emotion or that thing or that thought or that belief, then it makes it much harder to change. So it's important to make that distinction. And when I was going through that breakup, that time of heartbreak, and feeling sad, feeling depressed, feeling like I wanted my life to end, I remember that I started to see the world through those lenses. Everywhere I would go, I would look for things that would confirm my sadness. You'd see couples that seemed so happy, and I would completely disregard all the challenges the relationship had before that and only focus on, oh, how, if only it was like that for me. You know, I'd use all sorts of language like that to reinforce it. I don't know if any of you on here can relate that you've ever felt a certain way and you knew you need to change it, but then you'd catch yourself saying things to reinforce that feeling. See, in the moments of me when I was really committed to being sad, really committed to being depressed after the breakup, and notice this phraseology there. I was committed to being sad. I was committed to being depressed. Because what I was doing was I was constantly looking out into the external world through my filtered colored glasses and seeing information that would support it. Now, the relationship in itself had been chaotic. It had been unhealthy. It was combative. It was not a good relationship I want to be in. And most of the time I was in it, I didn't really feel that good in the relationship. So you would think being out of the relationship would be a welcome relief. But what happened was all my stuff came up. And it was stuff that I didn't necessarily want to deal with. And when I was in the relationship served as a Band-Aid. It made me okay. It made me feel safe. It made me not have to deal with those things I had buried deep down. And so when I would look at other people who seemed happy in a relationship, I wouldn't look at them and say, oh, that's so awesome. People can be happy and in love. I'd look at them and say, oh, you know, I'll never find that again. Boy, it must be nice. If only I could go back in time and fix it. If I would look at, I would turn on the news and look for the most depressing stories and then talk about how there's the whole world's going to hell. I would read books or watch movies that had the sad scenes and just have them reinforce this view, this perspective I was taking on, right? So what I was doing was constantly pulling in information from the external world to validate the internal narrative I was creating for myself. And this was the narrative that was producing pain. Is this making sense? And I appreciate all of you putting all these great comments on there. This is so awesome because I see more people jumping on here, and I really think it's because you're commenting and you're pushing those little emoji buttons. So thank you for interaction. And those of you who are putting questions in, type your questions in, and I will come back up after we're done and answer them as we go. So I see a few popping up in there. So please put your questions in. I promise I'll get back to them. So what I was effectively doing was I was focusing my energy, I was focusing my attention on creating pain. Because as long as I felt the pain, what happened? I was justified in the narrative I was telling myself. And the narrative or the story I was telling myself at the time was a few things. Number one was, if only I could go back in time, I could change things, I could fix things. So I was telling myself a story of, if this, then that, meaning if I could do this, then things would be okay, and then I would be okay. So pain was giving me a little bit of hope. Number two, pain gave me a reason to justify feeling what I was feeling, right? I had all this stuff coming up. As long as I kept doing it, I could justify it. But more importantly, what happened is it allowed me, by putting the pain up as a presence, and this is really key, and I encourage you all to write this down, it allowed me to mask the stuff within me that I was unwilling to deal with. See, as long as I was creating this external world and this internal world of I was in so much pain, I was sad, I was depressed, I was upset because of the relationship ending, because of the heartbreak, I never had to deal with what was going on inside of me, what I had buried down, because my focus could continue to be on all that was, but what I was calling the cause, the source of my pain, then of a relationship. Makes sense? Have any of you on here ever done this? I wish I could say I learned my lesson that one time, but no, I've done it other times too. See, oftentimes we will choose pain in the moment because it gives us an identity. It gives us something that we can form, that we can make sense of things. If I feel sad all the time, I don't want to acknowledge that I feel like I'm out of control of my emotions. But if I am sad, it's just something I can't control, right? Perhaps more powerfully or more significantly, though, is it gives us this smoke and mirrors. It gives us a screen. It keeps the real underlying problem hidden and at bay. It's like taking that dirt that's outside and sweeping it under the rug and then pretending it's not there. Because if what's out of sight is out of mind, and if what's on your mind and focus in front of you is constantly these other things, then it's not, then you don't have to deal with the real thing. Somebody on here, I think, who was it? Jamie, was it you that said you have hives and a migraine today? Right. So if I was willing to bet, and I'm not a doctor, I don't play one on TV, so there's my medical disclaimer. But I'm willing to bet that there's see, when we have these physical symptoms that express themselves, a migraine, hives, it can be really hard to see the underlying mental and emotional causes that bring it up, because now we're so focused on those types of things. And then we're focused on all that goes around. When I have a migraine, I'm in so much pain. I can't do this. I can't do this. It limits my life. It does this. If I have hives, that might be shameful to go outside and do those types of things, right? I worked with someone one time who had chronic migraines. And I mean, they would get real doozies where they would sometimes get them for up to 48 hours. And I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, they would be at 12 sometimes, and just really rocked them. And on one particular time, they had a gnarly one come up, and in tears, everything, I ran them through a couple exercises, did a little bit of hypnosis on them too, integrated with that. And to this date, which I think is, gosh, it might be even over a year now. And this was someone who got regular migraines. It might even be a year and a half. They haven't had another migraine. Now, this was someone who had the belief that they always were going to have these migraines and they were powerless to do anything to control them, right? Because the migraine, what would often happen is it would become this physical expression of something that might be going on in the inner world that hadn't been reconciled, that hadn't been dealt with. And so once we're able to deal with that, then all of a sudden the physical expression left. So we'll have pain. We'll choose pain because we'll often do it to mask the underlying stuff, the stuff that we're not willing to, or we're scared to deal with, we're afraid to confront. It becomes a distraction for us. It becomes a way to subvert our attention. You know, it's kind of a sleight of hand, like you see a stage show magician, right? They want you to look over here while the real magic's going on over here. When we're focusing on pain, when we're choosing pain, we're looking over here, and we have everyone else looking over here rather than looking over here at what the big problem is. Speaking of everyone else, we will often choose pain because it becomes a way that we connect with other people. We use it as a way to form and nurture connections. One of the fundamental needs that we all share is this desire to feel loved and connected. You need to look no further than this than go on the Facebook feed and scroll through it. If you pick 15, 20 friends at random, and you compare their most, their typical post to a post that seems to be a little bit more painful, I'm willing to bet, barring that the regular post or the most recent post isn't one about getting married or a baby or a new puppy or something like that, something that usually everybody chimes in on. But if it's just a typical everyday post, like, hey, I'm having a nice day today, and then they put another one up like, I'm really sad, I'm willing to bet that 9 times out of 10, you're going to find the people that are posting about the sad stuff are going to get more interaction. There's more likes, there's more comments. Okay, what does that mean unconsciously? All of us on here know this because we all do this, right? When we post stuff up on social media and we look at our likes, we check the comments. How does it feel when you get a few of them? Feels good, doesn't it? It feels good to me right now to scroll through here and see that so many of you are interacting, because internally in my mind as I'm talking, it's going, oh, this is awesome. People are engaging. They're responding to this. This is fantastic. This is wonderful. But if I post something up and I spend an hour coming up with this and I think, oh, this is going to be really great, people are going to resonate with it, and nobody responds, I don't feel as good. So when we don't get that feedback, what happens? We don't feel as connected. We don't feel as significant to other people's lives. And what we can do with pain sometimes, because it becomes such a almost a call to attention, if you will, is we may learn to associate the posting of pain or the sharing of our pain as a way to feel connected to others, as a way to feel like we matter, as a way to feel that we are important to other people's lives. Is this making sense? And any of you know somebody who does that, or you might be someone who's done that once upon a time in your life. So these are just some of the ways why we choose pain. And I don't have time to go into all of it right now, but if this is helpful to you and you want to dive in a little deeper, we definitely can. Now, how to stop it? I've covered a lot here, and I've been talking at you for quite a bit of time, and I want to make sure I get time to your questions. So how do we stop it? the biggest thing, because I don't have time to go on all the nitty gritty of this, but the biggest thing you can do is to acknowledge yourself honestly. See, my pain when I was going back to that first broken heart, the reason I was able to continue to choose it over and over and to allow it to persist to the degree it did was because I was constantly lying to myself. I would constantly lie to myself and try to pretend like the relationship was this wonderful, blissful thing that I was really missing out on. And that was the cause of the pain and not acknowledging what was really going on in here. I would constantly lie to myself after I had lost loved ones, and my pain would precipitate because I would lie focusing so much on myself that I wouldn't really acknowledge what I know they would want from me. Right. So we have to, if we want to stop the pain, if we want to shift it, we have to be willing to be brutally honest with ourselves. See, emotion is not especially hurtful, painful emotions. It's not a life sentence, meaning that when you feel something, you don't have to become that thing. Emotion's not a life sentence. What it really is it's a messenger. And it's a messenger showing up to tell you, okay, you feel this. So it's an opportunity to ask yourself, what would I like to feel instead? Or why is it I feel this way and how can I change it? Because we can. See, when I was able to step outside of my story I was telling myself about why I was feeling what I was feeling and blaming the relationship and the ex and all those types of things, I was able to start looking at me and recognize that there's some things that I needed to do with me, my own growth, to get out of my own way. I was so stuck in my own way of existing in my life I had built around this pain that I had forgotten that I had the ability to get unstuck. I could reach out for help. I could ask other people. I had lost that with myself because my identity had become pain. And I had to be really honest with myself. See, honesty with yourself is going to be paramount to making change. And there's a multitude of ways we can be honest. It could be asking ourselves, what else does this mean? It could be saying to ourselves, can I honestly do this on my own? If the answer is no, then that means you need to reach out for someone for help. Reach out to someone who does a coach, who does therapy, who does some sort of mentorship, and get them to help you. I've been working with some new clients as of late, and gosh, we've had some extraordinary breakthroughs with them because I've been able to facilitate a process with them where they're able to get out of their way and we're able to heal and let go of emotional baggage that's been holding them back. And it's allowing them to move forward in quantum leaps in ways that they hadn't before. People have been struggling for a long time because of this way they had created the world. See, there's the external world, but how we interact and view the world is all coming from in here and here. How we create it internally. When I say dog, what pops up in my mind and what pops up in your mind is completely different. See, you don't just get an image of a dog, do you? You get an image of a specific dog. Maybe it's your dog. Maybe it's a dog you recently saw on TV. Maybe it's a childhood pet you had. Maybe it was something else. Maybe it was Pluto from Disney. Actually, now that I said Pluto, I just had Pluto pop up in my head when you look at that. And it's not just Pluto from a cartoon. I actually had Pluto pop up at Disneyland. But see what I mean is we say dog, but it means something completely different to all of us because we all have these different ways of viewing the world. So we're creating our external world through what we believe and we hold on to in here and here. And when we start to wear this hat of pain or take on this identity of pain or these beliefs about pain, and we start to use pain to mask what we really need to deal with, we're going to start to find ways in the external world to reinforce it. Honesty is key to making this change. You have to be willing to be honest with yourself about what the real source is. You have to be willing to be honest with yourself that when you feel sad, for example, you can say, why do I feel sad? How can I change it? What would I like to feel instead? That's a powerful question to ask, especially when you feel sad. If you were to ask yourself, any of you who are feeling something right now that you may not be wanting to feel, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling sad, ask yourself, what would I like to feel instead? Now trust what pops up. If the thing that pops up is said, I'd like to feel happy, I'd like to feel playful, I'd like to feel joyful. Awesome. Now ask that same voice, How do I feel that way? How can I feel playful right now? How can I feel joyful right now? And you might get a message that's really bizarre and innocuous, something you wouldn't think of. It might be something like, spin around in circles while you sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It might be to jump up and down and sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And if that's what pops up for you, do it. Try it. Honor it. Because what you'll find is that you have the ability to shift out of pain in that moment and shift into a different emotional state, which for those of you who are wearing the identity that you are this emotion, you are depression, you are that, meaning it's a 24/7 thing, that in of itself will be enough to shake the logic loose that's holding it in place. And when you can start to release and relax some of those tentacles, that's where you can find the really powerful space to create change. All right. So that's what I have for you all today. Has this been helpful? Any questions at all? And I know I'm going to scroll back through because I see there's quite a few comments. You guys are awesome today. How do we do this all the time? So I'm going to scroll back through and answer questions. Also, really fast. If any of you resonated with this and you want to dive a little deeper, reach out to me, send me a message. I got 2 or 3 spots left. I can open up a third, but I know for sure 2 this week to go through a coaching consultation with me to talk about how coaching can help you really break through this and get you to the next place. So again, if this has resonated with you at all, I'm offering that to you, but only if you're really serious about doing coaching. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste mine. If I don't resonate with you, by no means, I'm not the right fit for you. But if you know that you could use some help with this, find somebody, reach out to people who can help, because there are people out there who can help with this and who are willing to. So whether it's me or someone else, awesome. Just get the support you deserve, get the support you need, because you don't have to live in that way of pain anymore. There is a wonderful multitude of life on the other side of pain. That's where purpose, love, fulfillment, joy, happiness, not only do they exist, but they exist in abundance. And that's where I'd love to see each of you at. So go ahead and start putting your questions in. Let me know if this is helpful. And I'm going to scroll up because I saw some questions up top here. God, you guys are awesome. So many comments here today. This is fantastic. I appreciate, first of all, thank you so much, each and every one of you who took the time to do that. Because the more I read about this stuff, the more it says that the way to get this out more in social media is to get more engagement, more interaction from the audience. And